Surely every day is a tester's day. And as promised, we are back with yet another webinar in association with the Global Testers Day 2022 event. Today we have Arun Kumar Dutta to talk about performance and resiliency testing in the post-COVID era. Arun has over 16 years of managing end-to-end performance testing delivery experience and has won various global and national awards. Arun is a highly motivated technology professional and is currently working as an associate principal in performance engineering services in Larsen Toubro Infotech. Over to Arun.
Hi everyone. Thanks for joining the webinar organized by QA and Touch community on the occasion of our special day, Global Tester Day. Happy Global Tester Day to all of you. Today I'm talking about performance and resiliency testing in post-COVID era. Let me share my screen. So today we'll talk about performance and resiliency testing in the post-COVID. Why performance and resiliency testing, right? Performance and resiliency is a very, very important factor in any product success. And it is a part of integral part of your SDLC, that is your software development life cycle. So we all know that since COVID, more and more people are getting engaged, getting involved into the online products, right? Maybe online classes, online offices, online seminars, even the presentation that I'm giving is online, right? And then again, like people are started buying a lot of online products, right? So overall, people are getting engaged into the online businesses. As a result of that, performance and resilience become more and more important factors for successful digital business. So if you have to do business successfully, you have to take care of your performance and resilience. Before I get into my presentation, let me introduce myself. I have over 16.5 years of end-to-end managing performance testing and resiliency testing experience across technologies. Currently, I'm working as an associate principal in LTI, and I have been selected into multiple international testing conferences and global webinars. Many of my blog articles have been published in different global testing and agile forums, so you will find a lot of my papers in those forums, and also on various global awards as well as internal awards. So what will be today's agenda? Today we'll talk about why performance and resiliency testing is so important in especially in the post-COVID era. What are the benefits that we are giving back to the society as well as business? So there are two aspects. One is like the benefits that performance resilience is giving to each and every business owners, application owners, and there is another aspect which it talks about a sustainability purpose, which is resulting back to the society. So if you do performance and resilience testing, your sustainability or maybe like the carbon footprint to the society to the environment will be less, right? So that will be another aspects. Then I'll also post some of the thought leadership articles which will be kind of references to this presentation. So if you want to learn more about those things, you can definitely go through those articles and read it out. And lastly, I'm going to talk about how we are going to do it in performance and resiliency testing in a typical SDLC model, right? So that's the four basic agenda that we're going to talk about today. Let's talk about why performance and resiliency testing is important in the post-COVID era. So ensuring enhanced end user experience is a very, very important factor. And if you ensure your end users are happy, that means you are doing good business, right? And you can do business in the long run. You will be enduring in the market. If you think otherwise, maybe like in a different way, like if your end users are not unhappy, they will go to a competitor site, they will leave your application, they will even inspire others not to do business with you. Your business will be overall ruined, right? So providing enhanced end user experience is a very, very important factor. And for that, you need to think about the different performance attributes to get it out. Like you need to do it for speed, scalability, stability, availability. So these are the four major aspects from a performance attributes perspective, which is definitely required to ensure enhance end user experience. I'll come one by one. Okay. So speed, how quickly an application can actually respond, like the responsiveness of your application or the speediness of your application is very, very important, right? And how it actually matches with the with when we'll have more load, I mean like the increasing load in the system. And that's what we conduct load testing to know well before the application goes live that how your application is going to behave under a stipulated user load, right? That's the whole objective of doing load testing. And response time is a great measure to ensure end user happiness. I'll give you some statistics how that response time, web page response time, and the conversion rate of the business, right? How that actually matches. So let's assume if your application page response time is 2.4 seconds, then the conversation rate will be 1.9%. Whereas if it is 3.3 seconds of your page response time, the conversation rate goes to 1.5%. And if it is if it is more than 4.2 seconds or somewhere around 4.2 seconds, the conversation rate is always less than 1%. So think about, if your page response time is getting increased, your conversation rate is getting decreased. And so there is no doubt the less the web page response time, more the conversation rate. So you have to do something so that your web page response time comes very quickly, the responsiveness is very quickly, right? And if you look at the industry standard nowadays for any web pages, if it is not too data consuming, the average response time should be always within 1 to 2 seconds. Over 2 seconds is not at all desirable at this moment, right? Let's talk about scalability. So we all need to know that application breakpoint in terms of users, or in a simpler term, how many maximum number of user an application can support, right? You have to know the breakpoint of your application. You need to know the maximum number of user that you can application can support, so that you can think about kind of a capacity planning, or you can think about the future business growth down the line, right? You have to be, application has to be ready well in advance. They have to think about the capacity planning, they have to think about the future business growth. And for this, for this scalability, we do stress testing, right? So to know whether your application can suddenly support the burst of user that is coming, or the increasing of the user loads, or maybe like the loads beyond your peak load, right? The application peak load. So these are the things which you have to think about it, right? And then again, like there are some cases like any promotional days offer, like if you go to the US, we always see the Black Friday, right? That is a place where you have a number of users connecting to your applications, or maybe like a kind of a shopping cart application I was talking, or maybe like in our Diwali celebration in India, right? Amazon provides a lot of benefits. So those are the promotional days. You will find a sparge of the users, right? A kind of spike of the users, or maybe like a more number of users. So your application has to be ready to support that kind of things. It has to be well in advance. It has to be prepared to support those kind of adverse situation. And that is why we do stress testing, and that is why it is so much important. Let's talk about stability. So stability is another important factor from performance testing point of view, right? So how your application can sustain for a longer duration, or maybe like survive for a prolonged duration, that again you have to ensure, right? Under a continuous expected load kind of thing, or maybe like the average kind of load, right? And this is also very important, especially from the issues like memory leak and those kind of typical performance issues that we observe. And for this, we do long run testing. We call it as a endurance testing or soak testing. And the normally we do these testings minimum for 4 hours to 8 to 24 to even 48 hours of long duration test we do, just to ensure like there is no issue in the stability perspective. So that is very, very important also, another aspect. Lastly, I'll talk about the availability. So availability is means high availability is nowadays like a mandatory kind of thing. So we are in an age where people are talking about 99.99% availability. People are talking about 4 nines uptime, right? That means like only 52.6 minutes of downtime whole year. So you do not get even any downtime. Your application has to be always available, right? Let me make it easier for all of you to understand. Let's assume for the month of June, your application was down for only 1 hour. So June has 30 days and every day will be 24 hours. So that means total time or available time will be 720 hours, right? And your application was down for 1 hour. So your application was available for 719 hours, right? So if you divide 719 by 720, which comes around 99.86 percentage, is your application availability. So your application was available for the month of June as 99.86 percentage. So think about it. So if you put it as a part of the expressing part, then I will say like availability should be expressed as the ratio of application available time to the total time of the duration. So in this case, the total time was 720 and application available was 719 time, right? And we are in the era of 99.99 percentage or maybe like 4 nines uptime. So you have to be very cautious. You have to ensure your application is always available. And testing for availability means running an application for a planned period of time or maybe like prolonged period of time, collecting all those failure events, repair times, and comparing the availability percentage to the original service level agreement. So you ensure like what is your actual availability and what is your expected availability, and then you compare. Expectability is your SLA, right? Then you compare whether it is matching or not, right? And that gives you a lot of trust to the end user, right? And that is how this all the four performance attributes or the factors like speed, scalability, stability, availability all leads to the end user happiness, right? And that's what we call as enhance end user happiness. In a nutshell, to meet the enhanced end user experiences, continuous performance and resiliency testing is now mandatory every time your application goes live. Post-COVID era, delivering enhanced end user experiences while leveraging a variety of digital components or maybe the digital ecosystem is considered as digital business success. So you have to ensure like if you want to do a digital business success, you have to ensure all of these performance parameters like speed, scalability, stability, availability. Let's talk about confirming consistency and confidence. So confirming consistency and confidence is absolutely required for both your end user as well as for your internal users. And for that, we do resiliency and reliability testing. So resilience is nothing but the ability to regain or how quickly a product recovered to its original state. So how quickly your product is getting recovered from your original state, that is very important, right? And when it actually experiencing a certain kind of lot of difficulties it is facing, and that is how your application will be resilient, right? You have to ensure that. And in resiliency testing, systems ability to handle under extreme conditions or maybe like how quickly a system can bounce back to its original state or how gracefully a system can recover from failures are observed thoroughly. So you not only have to do testing, you also have to think about the observability perspective. You also have to monitor it, how that's going, how quickly it is coming back to its normal state. That is very, very important aspects, right? So resiliency is basically to ensure the flexibility of your system, whereas reliability is for your faithfulness of the system. So one is for flexibility, another is for your faithfulness. So if we talked about reliability, reliability is nothing but the probability of a failure of your software operation under a specified time. So it has to be a specified time and it has to be for a specific duration or specific duration as well as from the specific environment. So specific period or duration and specific environment, that is very important. And how probability of a failure. So you are saying like it is not going to, so your application is reliable, right? That means it gives you a lot of faithfulness, a lot of trust to the end user. So end user gets, oh, this application is a reliable application, right? When you say that, that means your end users are trusting you and they will come back to you, they will do business in long run and you will be enduring in the market. So that is the added advantage of ensuring resilience and reliability of your application. If your application is uptime is not that great or your application is not resilient or fault tolerant enough, then your end user will not be happy, or maybe like they will not eventually come back later again, right? Or maybe like they even can inspire others not to do business. So that is another aspect of both resilience and the reliable system. Reliability gives the, as I said, like it gives you the faithfulness or the trust, and this is very important factor. Lastly, I'll say like both resilience and reliability confirms consistency and confidence every organization is now looking for, so that they can do business in long run and they can create a brand identity for them. Let's talk about cost effectiveness. So performance and resiliency testing helps in cost effectiveness also. There is no doubt that performance and resiliency testing is a cost effective process, and it assists to optimize the server resources. It protects from any unforeseen scenario. So you are actually identifying those unforeseen scenarios well in advance, so you don't have to go back to the, you don't have to face those issues actually in live or maybe like in production system. So that's like those unforeseen scenarios can be identified well in advance, before it gets even, before even we get it launched or installed, right? So these all leads to cost savings for both on premises as well as from the cloud solution perspective. I'll give you some example for easy understanding. Okay, let's talk about this very small performance defect, okay, which you identified and resolved itself in the development environment. If it's cost you $100, same issue if you find in for performance environment is going to cost you $1,500, and the same issue if you find in production it costs you the $15,000. So think about the cost variance, the 100 to 1,500 to 15,000, right? So it's a huge cost variance if you do not do performance at the early stages. And if you start thinking about performance at the early stages, right, that gives you the cost effectiveness. Continuous performance and resiliency testing itself is a cost effectiveness process, and it helps in optimizing resources. And there are two aspects, like when optimize resources in cloud means direct cost savings, right? We all know about it, right? And then we have auto scaling, and in cloud we all know that we have auto scaling, right? So we have auto scaling to potentially support more optimized resources, leading to more cost savings. Even one of my thought leadership article published in Eurostar Hurdle UK, where I have talked about that application do not run fast in the cloud without continuous performance and resiliency testing. You have to ensure like your application is performant and resilient enough, so that even it goes to the cloud, it actually helps you to in cost savings, right? And when we talked about the traditional data center, not in cloud, like traditional on-premises solution, right? On those cases, it doesn't have the flexibility to scale up and down easily, because you cannot put an extra server, or maybe like you cannot add those things that quickly, right? So on that cases, you always, or even it takes a lot of time to procure, a lot of times approvals required. On those cases, what will happen is like the you can always think about optimize your server resources. So you, whatever you have, you try to maximize that utilization, which actually saves you the 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 cost, right? So that by conducting continuous performance and resiliency and ensuring optimized server utilization is another way of ensuring cost effectiveness, right? So most of the cases like on-premises solution is like 30% utilized, right? Now, if you wanted to ensure like now it can be 50% or maybe like 60% overutilized and ensure your end users are happy, that means you are actually saving the cost, right? So that is another aspect. Overall, I will say like continuous performance and resilience is a highly cost effective, and both in terms of the tangible and in terms of the intangible cost perspective. I'll come that intangible later in my slides. Okay, let's talk about superior sustainability. As I said in the earlier, like there is a sustainability aspect. There is a means there is a process where you can actually giving back to the society if you do conduct performance and resiliency testing continuously. So how that happens, like continuous performance testing and resiliency testing also assist in better sustainability and less carbon footprint. One way there are two ways it can be done. So one way we can say like the faster application, the faster the application or the website, it uses less data to serve the request, right? So when it's less data to serve the request, that means it's actually giving or consuming less carbon. So less carbon it will emit, right? So that is definitely a huge benefits to the society. Another way, or maybe like the second way, is the more optimized the server resources, it consume less energy, which is also better for the our environment. So you had to ensure you are optimizing the server resources, and which you can do via performance and resiliency testing itself, right? So both ways, by optimizing the server resources and by using the less data, or maybe like the more faster your application that you make is going to resulting the less carbon footprint, and which is actually better for our environment or superior sustainability, you can talk that way. Continuous performance and resiliency testing always tries to optimize server resources, as well as it helps to improve the performance, overall performance of the systems, right? So both from the client side as well as from the server side. Again, I will come in detail on this particular topic, superior sustainability, in my next slides. Okay. So this is the reason why we'll be doing continuous performance and resiliency testing. If I go back and then again talked about it, so ensuring enhanced end user experience is one thing, confirming consistency and confidence is another thing, and then cost effectiveness and superior sustainability is another thing. Now, why will be, what benefits is it giving to the society, right? So first is, it is for better performance and reliability. Yes, continuous performance and resiliency testing ensures better application performance and reliability, resulting in end user happiness. Secondly, it is going to give you the tangible and intangible cost savings. Yes, tangible and intangible. So let's understand what is tangible and what is intangible cost savings. Tangible is something which is directly related to the cost, but intangible is not directly related to the cost, but that is absolutely important to do business in long run, to endure in the market, right? So let's talk about the tangible benefits. So if you look at the benefits that performance and continuous performance and resiliency testing is giving, like less rework cost, or maybe like overall less project cost, less downtime, or maybe like less customer escalations, or maybe like more end user happy, more end users into the system. So you are getting more end user into the system, right? That means more and more people are using it. So the which actually gives you more revenue to the to your business, right? This all leads to directly cost associated, right? And so these are tangible benefits that gives you that you can provide or gets from the performance and resiliency testing. Whereas intangible cost saving, which is not really related to the cost, but it has a long-term effect, like customer happiness, like customer feedback, or maybe like the customer satisfaction, customer retention, or maybe like the better reputations into the market. The better reputation is absolutely required for your creating your brand identity, right? So these all intangible benefits are also very important, and they are like difficult to measure, but they are absolutely required to do business, or maybe like do business in long run. Okay, so overall both tangible and intangible cost savings are the benefits of conducting performance and resiliency testing. As I said, thirdly, it's a high conversation rate resulting more business. As I said, like more the conversation rate, the more users are coming into your application. That means you are doing more business. As I said, like more conversation, more users into your system. They are doing business with you. You are earning revenues. Your business owners are happy. Your application owners are happy. Your end users are happy. Your internal users are happy. So every aspects of your business is actually happy, and that is what you are going to do business in long run, right? Fourthly, I'll talk about the less carbon footprint, as I said, from both on premises as well as from the cloud perspective. Let me tell it in a little in more easiest way to understand it, right? So what I'll say, so as on uh, for from a cloud perspective, Now let's talk about the on-premises part. Okay, so on-premises perspective, getting servers and making them operational takes a lot of time, as I said earlier also, right? So there is always a tendency to use higher the, means there is always a tendency to use that things, right? So the resulting it is higher footprint. So your overall server utilization is 30% or 40%, but you are having a lot of servers already in your or on-premises solution, resulting more carbon footprint. That is not at all required. So what you have to do is you have to make those extra servers redundant or only when it is required, so that the carbon footprint to the society is getting less, right? On the other side, just moving to your application into the cloud doesn't brings you any benefits. Okay, rather it actually, we all know that cloud gives you a lot of benefits in terms of the carbon footprint, right? And then we have auto scaling, which can also gives you more cost savings as well as from the carbon footprint perspective. But then again, this has to be tested. Even auto scaling benefits needs to be leveraged and confirmed by conducting continuous performance and resiliency testing, just to ensure this. So remembering auto scaling is directly, you have to ensure that auto scaling is directly associated with cost. So unnecessarily using auto scaling leads to huge cost. Also, moving apps to cloud, which will not be beneficial if your application is not continuous, if your application is not already performance tested or resiliency tested. Just moving your application, as I said, like, it's not going to help you out, right? And these all leads to less carbon footprint, both from on-premises and from the cloud perspective, right? In general, application deployed in cloud means better sustainability, but then again, if it is not performance tested, it is not resiliency tested, it not going to give you the benefits. Fifthly, web performance optimization. There is no doubt that today internet is having massive environmental impact. So if we can make our web page faster with improved performance, then definitely it will be having less carbon footprint and better for our environment. So optimizing web page is a very important factor to improve the performance and reduce the overall carbon footprint. And this can be verified and confirmed by, again, continuous performance and resiliency testing. And I'll say, like, web performance is optimization is a continuous process, and it is a kind of a never ending process. So you always have to ensure like it is actually optimized and it is always having a more improved performance, right? And I think web performance optimization definitely helps you to better carbon footprint other than always the performance improvement. And every performance tester engineer like us are interested to ensure like web performance optimization. Even personally, I am very much interested and reads a lot of things on this particular topic. Okay, and it can be done both on the client side as well as from the server side. Let's talk about the client side first. So client side, it could be initial page loading time, or maybe like a JavaScript that runs behind the browser, or downloading all resources and many more. And that is why we are doing a lot of single user profiling to ensure like, or maybe like client side perspective, we are doing client side performance testing to ensure like this has to be optimized. And the more it is optimized, it is actually better for the improved performance as well as from the sustainability perspective also, right? And on the server side also, while means it is directly related to, the moment you think about server side, it is related to optimizing your web server, app server, and DB servers, right? Or maybe like you can think about ensuring your DB queries or other application dependent. So basically you are actually optimizing each and every component of your applications, right? And that is why it is so much important. Like every component has to give you optimum performance to ensure your overall end-to-end end user response time is optimum. So that is also another aspect. And there are many best practices that we follow and which is already available, and we I think we should all follow it. Like we always follow the caching, or maybe like we use a CDN, content delivery market, for our cloud-based things. We are using bundle or minification of files. We are syncing the file sizes. We are optimizing the usage of image, and we are also thinking about, means every aspect, so that it's applicant dependencies or whether it's images, you have to put it in the direct server, not on a remote server, so that it takes long time, right? And that is what you have to do it. And then you also have to think about optimizing your most business critical web pages, which is in terms of business critical in terms of the users, or in terms of the business critical issues or the transactions or business functions, right? And then you also can think about reducing the overall pages of your web page counts, right? If you have more pages, that means more response time, or you have people has to go to one page to another page. So that also you have to think. So as I said earlier, the faster the application or website, it uses less data to serve the request, and less carbon it will emit in return. So both web performance optimization is for improved end user experience, and as well as from the sustainability perspective. Lastly, I will say like the brand identity. So continuous performance and resiliency testing assist in not only improve performance and reliability of the system, but it is also a cost effective and having better carbon footprint, which makes our environment better sustainable, both aspects, right? So both from the improved performance as well as from the better sustainability perspective. And this all leads to do business in long run, more and more conversation rates, resulting more and more end users, creating an on brand identity for your business. And this is what each and every business owners nowadays wants. So these are some of my thought leadership publications, and you can certainly go through those articles to learn more about all these benefits of performance and resiliency in the post-COVID era. And I also published, that was a Eurostar hurdle article, and this is another one which I published on agile testing alliances. Uh, this is also another the big community we have. And last year there was a blogathon 2021 which I published as a continuous performance testing for less carbon footprint. So you can also go through those articles to learn more about it. These are some other articles which publish on the different forums, like Super is 221. It is a Malaysian things that they published on last year or early this year. And then we have few Eurostar hurdle community, right? So these also you can learn more about the reliability, resiliency, chaos testing, and the towards the end side reliability perspective. So these all are very important to learn more about these topics. Okay. Lastly, I'll talk about how performance and resiliency testing you can do it in your SDLC or software development life cycle. First of all, performance and resiliency testing, it has to be both shift left and shift right. So it is covered on both aspects. So you have to start from the initial stage to your production stage. You have to think about performance and resiliency. It has to be your first thought. It cannot be afterwards thoughts, right? And if you look at the way I have put it, like there are, you can think about the initiation, you have to think about the architecture or design review phase, and then incremental performance testing as and when the application will be incrementally added into the component level. And then once you have full environment just before production, or maybe like a kind of pre-production or performance environment, where to do a full-blown performance testing to ensure those scalability or stability of your overall systems. Or maybe like you can think about the capacity perspective, you can think about the overall resilience and reliability testing perspective. You do a lot of troubleshootings and diagnostics on those particular phase. And then on production also, which is like a shift right perspective, you can think about the continuous observability, so that you can think about the continuous observability in terms of real user monitoring, in terms of synthetic monitoring. And you have to be more proactive to resolve those performance issues even before it actually affects your end user, right? So try to be more proactive. And then again, like we can think about doing some kind of game day testing, which creates the worst condition kind of itself in the production. And then log analytics and alerting is going to help you out for less downtime or maybe like more uptime of your application. And you always have to think about, that's why it is continuous, you always have to think about forecasting and thinking about the ongoing capacity performance testing. That's from the production perspective. Now coming back to, if you think about the shift labs, which is we are talking about, you start early, you are start your performance testing, your resilience testing as early as possible. So at the time of initiation or requirement gathering phase, you can think about NFR in understanding, you can think about user traffic patterns or historical products and workload analysis, those kind of things, are finalizing your SLA, business critical. So those are the things you can definitely think about, right? Or maybe like the after that, when there will be architecture design phase, that is a place where you can also think about a lot of review kind of, maybe like assessment kind of activities that you can certainly do it. And then the incremental stage, you can think about early performance testing, early component level performance testing, and then component of component performance before it getting integrated everything on your pre-production on the performance environment. So, and the most importantly, like, you always have to think about uh, doing it in addition with the observability tools. You cannot test each and everything. And today's accelerated release cycle, you have to do everything quickly, you have to do everything fast. So you cannot do each and everything performance testing. Performance testing, you should think about only from the business critical perspective. Rest you do from the observability perspective. So end-to-end observability, end-to-end of application performance monitoring is absolutely important to identify the performance issues, or maybe like pinpointing the performance issue, and then you resolve those performance issues and ensure your end users are always happy. So one way you are ensuring the end user happiness, and the moment you are doing it proactively, you are doing it continuously, you are actually doing it for a sustainability perspective also. Thank you. Thanks for joining the special webinar organized by Q and Touch Community. Once again, happy Global Tester Day to all of you. Stay safe and healthy. Thank you.
On behalf of the QA Touch community, I thank Arun Kumar Dutta for all the valuable information he shared with us. And also, thank you to each one of you for finding the time to attend this session. There's more to the series. We'll be back with another enlightening session soon. Till then, keep learning, keep testing, and do not forget to follow us on our social media handles. See you.